Hey guys, this is the gear for today. I guess we're going for kind of a Blanco theme here. Old school ivory or white or something like that. With Mitchell's Wool Fat soap, and this is the lid to the ceramic container that I have. I have taken it from a state where I used it several months ago, and I've dribbled some water on it a few days ago and let that kind of soak in. Some people do actually submerge their pucks for a while. I usually don't, but this time I decided to do that because I do want to eventually, once I use it a few times, put it in that slurry lather method scenario and see how it performs for that. The razor today that's going to handle the Nacet and in its high use, 477 is today's count, is going to be this. This is a Calibri handle, and it's on the Hybrid Tech, a vintage Gillette head here. That's the Hybrid Tech. I guess it's a new hybrid, kind of is the maybe the official designation because it's in the Gillette new category, but it's the only one in that category with a solid bar, and so that's why we call it the Hybrid Tech, because the Techs are the ones with the solid bars. And we got this monstrous Thader brush. I think it's the size 6, 4125, I think is the main model number that they gave to this one. It's been soaking for a little while, and the tips are nice and soft. It is just a huge, huge monster. And I just felt like using this puck of soap here, and we'll see. I don't think I'm going to take it with me when I go see my kids this weekend, and so I will be coming back to it later and putting more uses on it. But it was on my desk, and so I decided to go for it. I don't think the razor I used recently, the Yaki Final Cut adjustable razor, is a great match for the old Nacet at this stage, and so that's why I'm bringing in another razor. This one has done well with this blade in recent uses, 30, 40, 50 uses ago. All right, so we're going to load up. It's a slightly, it's not really tacky to the touch, although it appears to have kind of a glimmer to it. Hopefully it won't be too bad to pick up soap off that. So let me get my face wet. You know what I do so often? I tell you guys, let me get my face wet. And then while I'm in the pause break there, I remember that before I get my face wet and get my hands all wet, I like to go ahead and put the blade in the razor, and so then I have to come back to you guys and do that, but that's all right. So here are all the identifying markings of the old Nacet. And you can see that's the top cap, typical of a new, and sometimes a Tech with those 4 posts on the side, on the corners there. And then here is that, this looks like a new long comb base plate here, with the exception of the solid bar. And it does have the raised flat bottom. If this were an open comb here and all you saw was this, then you could rightly assume that it's a flat bottom new. That's just what the hybrid Techs look like. It is a dream razor for a lot of guys because it's so rare. But if you've got a flat bottom Tech, flat bottom Tech, and this is not the raised bottom, but the flat bottom Tech, I think that's a really good shaver as well. And it's a lot easier to find, less expensive, and I don't think you're going to miss this performance by much if you go that route instead. But of course you can try to find a hybrid Tech if you want. You just might, unless you get super lucky, you might have to pay a lot for it. So now it's time to get my face wet. Please pardon me today if I sniff on camera. I'll try to do it during the breaks. I've been stuffed up lately, last couple days, and it's just really bad right now. This brush holds so much water. I think it's a 31 millimeter brush or something crazy like that. I'm going to kind of shake out my usual amount of water. A lot of density here because of the sheer number of bristles, and it's not an easy splay brush in that sense. It's not a 3-band that just is all flexy and stuff. All right, let's do we're about to hit the 20 mark here. Let's just kind of go until I feel like stopping. Almost to 10 seconds. Okay, that's 10. Let's keep on going. Maybe we'll do 20. That's 20. That's 25 seconds. You know, maybe that'll be enough. Let's try that out. I didn't quite have my normal bowl ready. This brush is so big, I actually used the Yaki lather bowl for the soak, for the brush soaking. I feel like this brush would just eat that bowl alive, so I'm not gonna use it for the lather. Use a little bit of this overflow on my face. I'm trying to catch up lately. This is September 14th or something like that. And I'm trying to catch up posting my August shaves. So for those of you who are watching those already, thank you so much, and I'm doing my best. It's tricky with that ceramic container if you do get overflow because it turns very slippery, and I have to be much more careful that it doesn't slip out of my fingers and crash in the sink. All right. Let's work up that lather here. Just see, as this brush is so large, it doesn't sometimes rotate as much in the bowl as other smaller brushes do, and that causes it sometimes not to gather up as much soap. This is a large lather bowl, and with a brush like this, you are glad that you chose the large size. I do have my usual 40 milliliters of water here. Go ahead and add a little bit so that we can start mixing that lather together. Mitchell's wool fat a few years ago did have apparently a batch get released that was very notoriously difficult to lather. This is not from that batch. I've had pretty good times lathering this guy. I'm sure I got him before. Bought this used. Love the ceramic, love the vintage vibe of the ceramic container. This brush almost needs a bigger bowl even than this one. The Thader brushes that are size 1 or 2. Remember the first one I ever ordered, and it just is one of those that is a lot smaller than online pictures might indicate, unless you're buying it used and the guy indicated some kind of size comparison along with the photo. I can remember getting my first one and being so disappointed. Now they perform well. I mean, the Thader 2-bands like this one, if you have a desire for the brushes that are pretty high backbone, high density, fairly soft tips. These tips here on this brush don't get very jelly. They just get soft, and that's kind of where I like them. this brush almost expands as big as this whole bowl. Every time I have to reach for the little water thing here, I have to wash my hand off because the large nature of the brush is bringing that lather right up to my fingertips. I think this is all the water I'm going to add. Hopefully I didn't go too far with it. Let's just go ahead and stop now. I do need to get to bed. It is late. I'm not feeling well, and you know what that kind of combination is. If you're feeling a little sick, you need to get your sleep, right? Splash a little bit more water on my face. And let's get swallowed up by this big brush. Now, when you have a 3-band, then a small brush like a 24 or even a 22 can make a lot of, can cover a large area on your face because they splay very easily and they have naturally soft tips. But one of the neat things that this brush told me about, let me experience, was that when you have a dense brush that still has soft tips, but that density doesn't really let it splay super easy, then one of the ways that it can feel big is to just be big and have lots of tips facing you. That sort of thing. Instead of an average amount of tips that are easily moved around and bent, we have a large number of tips. And they just don't have to move. They're just when your face is touching this part of the brush, that's still a ton of tips. And then when you move it around and it's touching this part, you're still getting lots of tips. So this lather feels really good. You can see how it's got plenty of body here there. Performance-wise, I don't think I would mind shaving with this lather on a regular basis. Probably need to add more water, but I'm not going to for time's sake. I will kind of mix up what's in the bowl here just in case it needed a little bit more of that. My hands need to be rinsed off. All right, so Hybrid Tech, let's see how you do. 24 hours growth, maybe a touch more, but not too bad. I think the angle on the previous razor, the Final Cut adjustable from Yaki that I used the last time I used this blade, which was yesterday, I think it is fashioned after the Gibbs, and so therefore I think the angle that it uses is the blade angle in the head is a little bit on the flat side, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's just so smooth. I think the blade is maybe moving across your face at a smaller angle than other razors. And so I think when this blade is as old as it is, I think it needs an angle that's a little more, a little less acute. Water rinse, or just put some water on my face, not really a rinse. Tater brushes can get very expensive if you're thinking about them, but they do represent maybe a price point that's higher than you want. I think I'd probably recommend a Stirling 2-band to you, because they are also super dense. The Shave Max is also kind of in the same family as the Thader, and they kind of tend to be expensive, I think. And so, yeah, the Stirling 2-band, the Stirling Finest, I think might be a much cheaper option. Definitely going to get more for your money. Just moving fast, not really focusing too much on staying in a certain area to make sure I get that area well. I'm just doing the passes. And then it's one of those things where just right now I do feel plenty of stubble on my face. Whereas, of course, the younger blade, it's going to be mostly off after the first pass. And then one of these passes here, this one probably, it'll just take it down to a level where all of a sudden you feel, well, there we go. Lanolin is definitely present in this formula. For those of you who might be allergic to that, of course, stay away. Ah, yeah, I can tell a difference now. And this razor is working this blade in a comfortable way. Well, for the shave, I had to try to find a razor to use. Since I moved, right when austere August was starting, I didn't need any razor other than the one I was using for austere August. I had to figure out which of my totes had my razors. And my moving was done in such a hasty manner, I couldn't really put my finger on exactly where they were at first. Rinse. When a razor is this comfortable with such an old blade, either it's doing really well or it's doing badly, meaning if it's doing badly, that it's just not cutting effectively. And unfortunately, that's kind of what's happening today. I've still got a good amount of stubble. The razor is getting more comfortable as the passes go, but here I'm starting my fourth pass and I've still got more stubble than I would if I would have been using the timeless open comb. So the comfort was beguiling. Previous pass, I even did some of these angled strokes. Try to help in a slant type of motions that can often give you a nice efficient cut. That was a cutaway to get a good sneeze out. Might have to do it again in just a second. All right, let's see how that one feels when I do a little bit of a rinse here. So that was the end of the fourth pass, and it does look like I'm making headway, but it's quite slow. Looks like this hybrid is not a good match for the Nacet. At this age, it was a good match at a couple different points in its life, but not this one. Not as nearly as efficient as a normal human would want. I think I'm starting my fifth pass here. Now it feels like it's gliding. The slickness here feels wonderful. And so if I'm doing my fifth pass, I mean, maybe maybe it takes 5 full passes. Maybe the fifth pass is doing a lot of work here, where with other razors, the fifth is just kind of a cleanup. But hey, I mean, if it gets the job done in 5, I might keep it around because it sure has been comfy. Matter of fact, I might, this motion right here has a slight against the grain component to it on my neck right here. And I feel safe doing that because of how it's feeling. So who knows? We'll see how it feels in just a few seconds here. Maybe I'll keep going with it. As long as it gets there in 5, I'm pretty happy. Good full rinse now. Well, that's a terrific lather. It felt nice and fast and slick on my face. And this brush is going to hold another, 2 passes or so. And it's not a super fast kind of slickness. It is it's a kind of slickness where your face feels nourished, and then you get a fuzzy layer of protection on top of that, and that is where the blade rides. A lot of people have commented that this soap does leave their face pretty nourished and healthy feeling. And the cool thing was, it's been doing that for a long time. Nowadays we have modern soaps that are incorporating skin nourishing features, moisturization, that sort of thing. But it seems like that's something that Mitchell's Wool Fat has kind of been including for a long time, as long as you're not allergic to lanolin. It does take a minute to clean this brush, so I better get to that. And then here's what this brush looks like after a good rinse and a good towel stropping. Look how big that is. Here is that razor as a comparison. And this is kind of a normal sized razor, like a Gillette Tech, the vintage Gillette adjustable. This is kind of the same size razor. As well, here is that Yaki razor that's patterned after the Gibbs. I mean, it's just, here's a normal Sharpie sized marker. It's just big. It's big. And the tips just feel very soft. They still have a little tip feel to them. They're not jelly like I mentioned. And you can see it does splay some, but there's just so much density here that even this much splay doesn't at all feel even medium in backbone. It still feels like it's got a good bit of backbone, but the fact that it's the fan shape here and that it can still touch so many tips to your face, no matter what angle you're using it at, that's what makes it soft. Didn't really expect to like this brush, but I do. Got this City Slicker Splash. I do need to find the tote that I have all my splashes, but honestly, I don't mind. I like City Slicker quite a bit. So we did not get a super close shave in a few spots. And we'll just let tomorrow's razor, whatever that needs to be, we'll let that pick it up. Rinse out the blade here. Put it aside for drying. Hey, a little pipe minute. This is a Nimrod pipe lighter. Isn't that interesting? You're kind of used to seeing the Zippo types, and there's a pipe lighter form of that where you flip open the Zippo, and looking at it from the side, it's round like this because it's meant to be used sideways so that you can hover it over your pipe chamber and pull the flame down in as you light your pipe. Well, it's kind of like that, but he's long and tubular, and here's the funky thing. He's not going to light, but I just got him in. This is the fuel chamber, and maybe you saw the spark, but there is the wick right in there. And so then you would hold it where the chamber is up and down like that over your pipe, assuming it's lit, and then this little wheel. And as you saw, what you do is you hold your thumb right there when you open it, and when it's working properly and reliably, then in just that opening motion, I mean, it's really kind of the size of a lipstick. When you have that opening motion, now all of a sudden you've got your flame and you're ready to go. And then to turn off the flame, to smother it, you close it up. I'd never seen that before until a few months ago. And I don't know if I'll be able to get it to where it lights regularly. I can light it with a match and it'll stay lit. But we'll see. We'll see if I can help it out. All right. That's today's Pipe Minute Nimrod pipe lighter. The lightness of the scent, if there is really any scent at all, I guess there is just a tiny touch. But the scent of the soap here is going to be friendly with about any aftershave out there. And so I'm definitely enjoying the City Slicker. So the Hybrid Tech, not quite enough, not quite aggressive enough, maybe not the right angle for the Nacet at this point in its life. The Timeless Open Comb 68 gap is a much better option. I might go back to my carve and try some different base plates with that. That's maybe a good idea. I know where that is, and I don't have to look through as many totes to find that. All right, well, here's the cool ceramic thing of Mitchell's wool fat. And next week when I get back, I will use it maybe for a few days. And then with that kind of residual slickness, we will be ready to try the Slurry lather method, where we get a really wet brush, go at the soap for a second, and we come at the face with a lot of water and enough soap to go for a couple of passes, but then we won't get it mature on my face, and that often will give me terrific slickness. But yeah, see, there's that nourished feeling that you get after using this soap. Happy man that I am not allergic to lanolin. Oh, hey, here is the Smug Owners Club. And here is the Thader. I think the number 6 is the size. The description of the video, the title may even have it, but the description will have it. So there's the size difference. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. I sure hope there's something in this video help you guys out. Maybe bring a smile to your face seeing that huge honking big brush, right? Take care. All the best to you guys.